Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to another day of Dungeon Crawl Stone Soup. I'm Mothfluffs, and we're going to return to the dungeon as a Demonspawn. We're going to format these a little differently. I think I want to go for just like a Greatplayer style series where I do a victory with each species before moving on. I realized I didn't really like doing it by background. I feel like switching between species repeatedly is a little more disorienting than switching a background. So we're going to try a slightly different variation on the caster theme. We're going to do a Venom Mage Demonspawn. I mentioned the formatting because I want to let you know why we're returning to Demonspawn instead of continuing with Gargoyle Fighter. We're going to do a little bit of that. Actually, let's leave transmutations on. I think poison magic is strong enough to spread our skills out a little thinner, although, yeah, I don't even think we need to focus poison magic. So, poison magic caps out really early, but has an incredibly strong early game. You get some really strong spells. Your starting spell is Sting, which is a ranged, damaging spell that also inflicts poison, little bit of physical damage. Excuse me. And then as you level up, Poisonous Vapors is a smite-targeted poison, which there are not many smite-targeted spells or effects in this game, so looking out for those is pretty strong. Mephitic Cloud is just useful in a lot of situations. Confusion is a powerful affliction. And Olgrub's Toxic Radiance can just wipe whole screens of monsters if they're not poison resistant. It poisons everything on screen. So we've got a lot of potential, and if you find Ignite Poison, especially if you find it early, you can really pop off. Ignite Poison it's a fire transmutation spell that changes, it removes all poison stacks from everything on the screen and deals damage proportionate to the amount of poison remaining. Basically, it's a nuke. Anything that has poison on it will die in just a few, either immediately or for uniques in just a few casts. So, a lot of scaling potential there through the mid-game, through the lair and the vaults mostly. The depths a little bit. Later in the game, things start becoming poison resistant or poison immune enough that it's not a reliable strategy beyond there. So what you always want to do with a Venom Mage is try to invest as little as you can into poison, while still getting the full effect of the most powerful spells. Irinya's Noxious Bog is another good one. Creates something that gets by some of that poison resistance. And then you want to shift into something else. Usually it's other spells. You try and find an Altar of Vehement and sort of shift into one of the elemental schools or other damaging. Okay, first mutation at level 2, that's always nice. Sharp Spines is good. It's another way that we can sort of get out of the early game for sure. It's just a lot of damage to monsters that successfully get past our stings and things. And we should also memorize Poisonous Vapors right away. I erred in taking even one more step without doing that, so let's back into a corner and get this set up. Rearrange our skills slightly. Okay. Well, let's back up. The poison should do some work. Probably shouldn't have run up on that knoll. Should have just Poisonous Vapored from a distance. I always think I'm stronger than I am when I'm playing Venom Mages, because they are very strong early game, but does not mean that they can take hits from a polearm-wielding gnoll or a spear-wielding gnoll. Weaker monsters I try not to poisonous vapors because I prefer to... Well, let's see. What do we have? What do we have here? This ring is pretty good. We can put that on our shopping list. The resist fire plus resist cold minus is kind of like, I don't know. It's good if we find a lot of resist cold and not a lot of resist fire, but not the other way around, because vulnerability is very, very dangerous. But blink, resist elect, NP plus 9 is all super great, and if we do find some cold resistance, like if we decide to go for more of a hybrid build and put on some ice dragon scales, for example, that could be a nice balancing effect that gives us a little bit of a harder to get resistance. And if we're a hybrid build, we're probably using evocations, so we'll want that plus blink anyway. But other things that are notable are rings of poison resistance, which are great for the S branches if we haven't found another source by then. And, Ring of Sea Invisible can be useful if we haven't found that by sort of the later stages of the dungeon or the depths. Ring of Willpower will buy in a pinch if we need to, say, go to Elf for some reason without having found a lot of sources of willpower, or if we get to, like, the vaults. Anytime you... When you get to the point where there are wizards... Oh, Amulet of Regeneration is certainly nice. Help us sustain. Kilquaka. So in a vacuum, I'm going to pump Intelligence. We get a pair of antennae. That's one of my favorites for casters, especially. Ring of Fire. Okay. Just stacking up that cold vulnerability. Hilarious. I should probably pick up some stones, just in case. You want ways to deal with poison-immune enemies even early on. Undead are notorious for being hard to kill with Venom Mages, although I believe in recent patches they have kind of some poisonous vapors there, just to make sure we're not having to fight a couple of these in a row without... Okay, cool. Potions. So this is probably a beneficial potion. Probably curing is my guess. Cyan equals curing. If we have to quaff idea in a pinch, we can. Anyway, I like antennae on casters a lot because being able to avoid fights, I think, is particularly important when you have a lot of different tools on how to approach fights. Like, picking when you fight things is important on a caster. Whereas with melee, if you've got a minotaur that just runs in and bashes things, really the only thing you're picking is the direction and the timing, not the method. I think if you have a character who needs a little more planning, being able to choose how you engage a fight and is very important. That's a lot of this game anyway, is figuring out the ideal way to go about things, eking out small advantages, especially early on, so that so that you can snowball and be able to face the really the things that feel unfair if you get to the late game and don't have a plan for them. This is one reason to pick up Spear early on, are things like worms that are just kind of dangerous because of how hard they hit. The plus 11 Singing Sword. An enchanted blade which loves nothing more than to sing to its owner, whether they want it or not. So it is a double sword that radiates sonic damaging sonic waves as it strikes, especially in combat involving dangerous or numerous foes. Wow, that's really cool. That's really neat. If we get mutations that enable more of a hybrid build, we could put some stat points into dexterity. Our starting dexterity is pretty decent at 13. It's not amazing, but it's, you know, it's not like a strength weapon where we're just not we're not going to be switching into strength if we do a hybrid build. That's just not really a consideration. But that might be 1,300 gold is kind of a lot, but that's basically what you get from Orc. So if we over the next few levels decide to pick up a dagger, for example, if we get the Night Stalker mutation and want to be a little bit more stabby. Excuse me, I caught a case of the burps. So we've got here a potion of curing and a potion and a scroll of teleportation that we can purchase. I think we just go ahead and do that. That identifies those. Yeah, see, potion of curing. I told you Cyan was curing. Nice to have those ID'd. Those are super useful, especially early on when survival is a little more difficult. And it also, you know, accelerates our ability to unlock our consumable tool set. Bones become slightly less dense, so +2 dexterity and stealth plus. Wow, that's really great. See, again, this kind of mutation enables the hybrid format a lot. It's going to, I mean, boost to dexterity and stealth is great for us anyway. But especially so if we decide to ever place ourselves in the harm's way of melee combat. Other things that might pull us in a hybrid direction are if we find an another early short or long blade that is either a randart or an unrandart, random artifact or non-random artifact, respectively. One that, you know, isn't in a shop so we can actually afford it. Amulet of Reflection is fine, but I don't think it's necessarily better than Regeneration. Staff of Earth, Staff of Fire, good to know that those are there. I don't think we need to pick up a Potion of Might here. I'm not super concerned about hitting things in the face, although the ID is kind of nice. It's only 40 gold. I think we'll save our gold for now. If we notice that we're not collecting many scrolls, like we have another stack of 3 already that is very possibly Identify. But if we don't find Identify fairly early on, if that's not it and we don't get many other... Ooh, an embroidered robe is good, as is a runed hat. Well, no, runed hat we won't. We can't. Eventually antennae will prevent even the use of hats. We wouldn't want to put them on our little eyeballs. But an embroidered robe could be good. Probably just a, you know, +1 to pip of some resistance or another, but that's useful, fairly useful in and of itself, and it might be like a robe of resistance or a robe of the Archmagi, which would be a very strong thing pulling us in the direction of a purer caster build. Let's just sort of poison some gnolls here. None of them are wielding anything super dangerous, so we can kind of go toe-to-toe with our spines. Sharp spines is super useful early on. You can just let a lot of things impale themselves upon you. Oh, let's pick up this dagger. It's nice to have, just in case we find ourselves in a situation where we get an easy stab. Gosh, we're getting a lot of good stores on this level, or at least, I don't know about good stores, but goodness, we're getting a lot of stores, period. Potion of degen for 10 gold could be something we do. We could do like degen heal wounds. Degeneration is spending 10 gold on degeneration is cheaper than spending 23 gold or whatever on an identify scroll. Like here, you know, we can pick up a mystery scroll for 21 gold, and like that, you know, I'm not sure what that is. Could be identification, but you know, identification is the least valuable of the scrolls that isn't a bad scroll. You know, like noise. So we have 73 gold. We could do 60. Can't quite do all of it. I think what we do is just get these two. I like IDing these two, yeah. And so we didn't have either before. So we have 3 potions to identify. I think we go ahead and read this scroll. Yeah. All right. Identify the rest of these potions. And now we can check here and see if that was, yeah, so that's not a scroll of identification. That's good to know. Oh, and that potion is a potion of degeneration. Saved us from having to buy that. Yeah, saved us having to buy any of those kind of medium potions that were in this store. So let's put that on our shopping list, and this on our shopping list. All right. Phantom Mirror is also nice to know that that exists in a store if we need it. Ooh, but there's Vehement. Alright, early Vehement is, I think, just a reason to go ahead and switch. The other, okay, well actually, we have some options here, right? So, if we wanted to go sort of a hybrid stabby build, we pick up Uskaya, who is very, very strong as a stabber god. They let you confuse your enemies, and Pain Bond, which lets you just blam, 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 stab, stabby, stabby, stab. If we want to go Blaster Caster, Vehement is our bread and butter. I also like Vehement a lot with the early poison magic. I think it complements each other really well because you don't have a ton of options until you get Radiance online, which we can actually probably do. Anyway, and we also have Hepakana, who, I mean, this is also kind of a hybrid. This is more of a fightery hybrid build, like a Dex fighter situation where we take the Knight or the Hexer and kind of just have a 2v1 on as many situations as possible, where we use a limited spell set to engage from medium distance, and then we kind of move in for the kill. That's fine. I don't feel like this is as strong as either of these two. I am inclined to take Vehement and just go with a more blaster castery kind of build. Vehement helps round out our spell set really nicely, which is something that Venom mages struggle with, and I just, honestly, it's been long enough since I've played a stabber that I would want to sort of get in a different brain set for that. I think it's Vehement here. We already have some inclination of going that way just because of our background that we chose. So we're going to go ahead and do this. Though I would not fault anyone for taking one of the other two. Fedus is, I don't think it's really a consideration. Okie dokie. So let's go ahead and memorize Olgreb's Toxic Radiance. And I'm going to focus Poison Magic until it kind of comes online. Javelins, I don't hate picking up Javelins. Again, ways to deal with things that are poison resistant are important. Vehement will help us out with that soon-ish, but not immediately. And we want to be able to deal with, like, orc priests and things in the meantime. Oh, goodness, that's a lot of damage. Oh, dear. Well, I perhaps should have approached that in any number of ways differently. That was a pretty quick death. We'll run that back. First game of the day is always a little fraught. But that gives you kind of a good glimpse into my skill, or into my decision making when playing a Venom Mage. I think this time we're going to focus poison magic. I was kind of checking to see where Olgreb's was compared with the others if I did just a straight split. Is it going to give us an actual shop? No, just a bunch of closed up shops at the start. This was the dwarves who delved too deep and had to close up their all their businesses, selling to surfacers. Magic Dart and Call Imp. Well, those are pretty good. Call Imp is actually something that we may memorize early on. I like supplementing Venom magic with summons because you can poison stuff, especially with poisonous vapors. You smite target, you summon a bunch of stuff and then just smite target beyond your, yes. I guess we will wield this mace. It's a little more efficient. Okay. Bones become slightly less dense. So we got the same mutation as last time, except earlier. So again, we can start to look to some poison darts. Again, that leads us to sort of a stabby build. We may consider putting some points into stealth here. I forget if bones being less dense is a scales mutation or a tier 2 mutation. I think that it is. I think that it is a scales mutation. It could be a tier 2. I'll have to look it up at the end of this video. I don't want to waste time since we had an unfortunate incident and walked into an orc priest all willy-nilly. Very poor choice. Poor choice of actions. What I should have done there, obviously, was pick those orcs off one by one from a distance, wait for the pack to engage over time, pull them into a hallway with a corner, and whittle them down until it was just me and the priest, preferably near a staircase, and use poisonous vapors and sting to kill the priest by itself. That was the way I should have done it, and I even could have gotten out of that situation a little bit better. Foul stench of rot and decay. Okay, so being damaged will emit a miasma. That, in conjunction with thin skeletal structure, means that if we find one more thing to pull us in a stabby fighty direction, we will probably go ahead and switch into that. One thing I think, +2 ring meal of willpower. Yeah, that pretty much does it. One thing that will pull me out of Venom Magic pretty early is a reliable way of dealing damage to things that aren't poison magic. Let's go ahead and pick up a dagger and wield it. I think it's just better than a mace in most circumstances anyway. Even if you don't get the actual stabs. A few too many monsters there. Quite a few there also. This is better. I like this. So here I think we turn off transmutations and turn on stealth. I've opened my mind to the stabby. The reason why foul stench is, I think, good for hybrid build is that if you're a caster, you're going to be a little more mobile. Ooh, yeah, curare is another reason to kind of be an assassin-y little have our venom magic to sort of get us through the early game while we're ramping up our stealth and blades skills, and then we'll just be putting points into dexterity for the rest of the game. I think we've got enough intelligence to kind of support the amount of magic that we'll be using. We basically want to be able to use Olgrebs. Call Imp. I don't know, summoning's pretty cool too. I like Call Imp a lot. We don't have to make any of these decisions quite yet. Stealth is super useful on any caster. Again, letting you pick your fights in the same way that those antenna kind of did on our last Demonspawn. And we can just kind of bash away at a worm. Alright. Quarterstaff is another strong caster weapon. Energized by your suffering. Yeah, we definitely want to be like in a place where we're kind of capable of taking damage. We want to be, you know, in melee. Like Miasma plus Powered by Pain just makes it. If we play pure Blaster Caster on this Demonspawn, we will lose the power of 2 of our mutations. So like 6 levels worth of gaining strength as a Demonspawn will kind of not be doing anything. And since we found these early enough to make this decision, it's not like we have to, you know, it's not like we've committed a ton of experience to things that aren't useful. So I think what I want to do is turn on short blades. And so what this is doing is we're getting... Olgrebs is great because Olgrebs helps us deal with like screens full of yaks, for example, that we just... There's no way we're going to be able to stab or like fight without finding a little bit better equipment. And since we found we already have spells and we don't have equipment, we use our spells to their max now, to enable us to find the equipment that'll like really synergize with our mutations. Like, this is why Demonspawn is listed as an intermediate species, I think. Aside from just, you know, not having any super clear aptitude bonuses, except for invocations, which doesn't, you know, the zealot backgrounds are fine, I guess, for Demonspawn, but how do we approach this? We literally haven't memorized anything else yet, so we should probably do that. Let's memorize Poisonous Vapors. And let's go ahead and memorize Olgrebs. If we have like a Potion of Brilliance or something, we can... Okay, so I think I want to approach this from this angle. Let me explore just right around here real quick and make sure there's nothing just standing like right there that's going to hear us fighting. And then we want to get just one of them. There we go. Pick up a spear. Oh, that woke the others up. Interesting. Okay, so we've got a couple of gnolls wandering around. Let's kind of check the immediate area. Oh, a black bear. That's interesting. Oh, good. Miasma slowed the bear. Oh, dear, and then it berserked. Alright, let's quaff one of these potions. It was might. Do we quaff another potion, or do we swing with our dagger? I think we hope that this is curing. Haste. Oh, hey, potion of haste is nice, but poison killed the black bear. Well, that's good. Feet thicken into form. Yeah, additional melee attack. Yeah, we're meant to be taking swings at things. Glad we got that bear killed. That was closer than I would have liked. But adder plus bear was a tough situation from the start. I think maybe the right choice was to try and use the adder to put some distance on the bear. But then you're stacking up poison on yourself, and that didn't seem great. I don't know. That's a tough call. I think that's the kind of situation where I could and probably should have spent a little more time with it. Interesting. I don't know. Leave a comment about what you would have done. Poison magic is at level 5. How are we at casting things? 21% on Olgrebs, which is pretty nice. Poison has this weird thing where most of its early spells, most of its well, all but one of its spells in its starting spellbook have a secondary school. So transmutation, air, and conjuration / air. Only Olgrebs is pure poison. So rushing poison magic helps you get to Olgrebs, and it gets the others online, but then you have, poison magic that doesn't contribute to the casting of other spell schools. Whereas if we're doing a hybrid build, and poison magic is the only spell school that we're using, well, a miscast is fine, I guess. If poison is the only spell school that we're really using, it's kind of fine to rush it. Whereas otherwise you may, memorize poisonous vapors and train up air magic instead. Throwing stones at me. I'll just hit you in the face. Yeah. Just kind of testing out our dagger plus poison damage here. Foul stench grows more powerful. Since we're not really stopping things successfully, we can go ahead and equip a short sword. Okay, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like we can maybe stop focusing poison magic and focus short blades instead. And just trickle our way up to Olgrebs. Ooh, Nemelex is an interesting consideration. So Nemelex would, in exchange for putting skill points into invocations, give us a kind of a semi-reliable bag of tricks. It's pretty strong, blowing stuff up with destruction. You can stack elixirs for regen, and you can summon stuff as kind of an escape. Nemelex is pretty solid. I think we can do better, though. I think as kind of this sort of hybrid start, we're going to be a little bit torn skill-wise anyway, and I'd rather Invo be a little more impactful per point put into it if we're gonna have a god that uses invocations at all. I like Nemelex a lot more on a pure fightery kind of build. Like if you start as a gladiator or a fighter with Demonspawn, let's see, this Phantom, for example, is... We can use Poison Sting's physical damage to some effect, but mostly we're just gonna have to, like, bash this Phantom down, and I don't love it. Yeah, let's go ahead and drink our Potion of Might. I think that's how we get out of this fight, yeah. Phantoms are pretty tough for Venom Mages. They can lead to an early splat if you're not careful. Let's go ahead and pull this adder upstairs. I don't love it, but I think we have to, yeah. Pulling it upstairs means a little bit of extra poison damage stacked up, but it also means we don't have to deal with that amp. Goodness. Getting Might is nice. Falchion is cool. The cross-training from Short Blades helps with that. Gloves are nice. Alright. Let's go ahead and back up a bit. We're taking a few attacks of opportunity here, but kind of wanted to let the poison stack up. Ugh. Alright, let's just reset the fight. Too many nulls. I don't think Trog is the god we want. Don't think so. Let's kill this wizard real quick if we can. +1 Dagger of Venom is a good find. Much better than our +0 dagger. I think better than a short sword as well. We already have some synergy with poison, so... Distillery! We have 170 gold pieces, so we can buy a few different things here, seems like. Kind of want to prioritize IDing over stacking up curing. So let's do curing, let's do heal wounds, and... Brilliance. I like that combo a lot. Cool. Alright. That gives us a little bit of resilience in some of these fights. Confused, eh? Well, we got rid of the most dangerous one. We can kind of... Gosh. Oh, the wizard had a dagger of poison. Alright. Well... I think we're okay. Yeah, I think we're okay. We're okay. We're fine. Another +1 Dagger of Venom. Same as what we had. Those wizards just really toting around the venomous stuff. Hound. Oh! Alright. Well, this video has run a little long, I just realized. So we're gonna go ahead and split it up here. I'm gonna keep clearing this popcorn as we wrap up the video. We had a little bit of a mishap with Venom Mage #1, but we've got a little bit of a clearer direction here. We're pretty sure we're gonna go in a kind of a stabby stabby way, short blades and long blades, and dexterity. We'll come back, start the next video, and continue along the... we'll continue this fight there. I feel like this is a pretty decent position to make some evaluations, and that's what we'll start with next time. Thanks for watching.